All right, welcome to Zone in Sports, where we cover everything, all sports. Welcome back to the show, E. We got a good one today going here. How you doing out there?
Absolutely, I'm good. Hello to everybody. Happy Sunday. Hope everybody had a great weekend before the work week begins next week or next.
All righty. Oh shoot, hold on, getting a little reverb from this. 1 second there. All right, there. Did you know Mario was up in the Midwest this week? Friday, to be exact.
Oh yeah,
Yes, sir. He was up here. He was down, actually, southern Missouri, southwest Missouri, looking at the boy out of Nixa, Jackson Cantwell.
oh okay.
Five-star athlete. Yeah, did a personal house visit to him and his family. Try to get Jackson to come to the University of Miami in 2026. So I thought that was interesting. Him, Jason Taylor, the OC came to Alex. They all played his family
Well,
house visit.
that's big. If he came with Jason Taylor and Shannon Dawson,
Oh, he came with Alex Mirabal.
Mirabal. So
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
that's the O line coach.
yeah. Right.
Um, but they the top recruiters.
Yeah,
They are the Mario Taylor and Mirabal are the top recruiters for the program. So if they
yeah,
come do an in-house visit to Missouri,
yeah.
this kid must be something.
Hey, they say he a 5-star. His father, I think, went to Mizzou, and he didn't play football. He played another sport. And I think his mother went to SMU. So right now, Cantwell kind of leaning towards Mizzou, but Mario definitely trying to flip him. And if he stay
Well,
on his tail, it's gonna happen.
I can't blame the kid. He at home in Missouri. Uh,
Right.
he gonna be want to see family, but Miami has intangibles that other schools don't have. Like
Yeah.
one of the best campuses in the country. I told my daughter if you come down here and get on campus, it's gonna be hard to want to go somewhere else just with the environment and the weather. It's January, it's freezing up here. I said down here they still wearing shorts and they have a
Right. Right.
they have
Unless you're in
a
northern Florida, of course,
right,
right now.
they have a beautiful campus down there, man. It's not
Right.
the only school with a nice campus, but the atmosphere down there is I think second to none, and their academics is right up there also. That's the biggest thing, the
Right.
academics.
So, hey, Jackson, if you listen to this video here, hey, come on down to the Sunshine State and get on out of Missouri. We love Missouri. Don't get me wrong, but come on down to the U,
I don't know
and
about that.
hopefully Mario can lock that up. That'd be big if he can lock that up against
Yeah,
Spectrum.
it's a chance. It's a
Yeah,
chance. I mean, if he can snatch kids out of Bama and Georgia to come down there
yeah,
and
yeah,
California to
yeah,
come all the way from California. So I mean, like I said, I understand a kid want to stay home and represent their state
yeah.
and or keep family close. But if they have the academics he's looking for and the programs he's looking for as an individual, as far as his learning is going, and if they could show him where he could fit and be a playmaker right away, then I give Miami a good chance to get him to come down there.
Yeah, I watched a little film on him, and he a beast. He a big boy. I think he like 6'6" or something, 6'6", 6'7", something like that.
What was his
Flew out
position
to
in
see him.
high school? What's
He offensive line,
oh,
offensive line. Yeah. 6'6", 6'7", 300. He a big boy,
that's why Mirabal
big
came.
boy.
They you see what they doing. So I can
Yeah. So they
I
get
think
him down there. Now I did know it. Like when they did the first visit with him, his father wasn't there. So his father was at this visit when they came to the house when Mario Cristobal and Jason Taylor came up to visit him. So they're trying to sway his father because I think his father tried to push him towards Mizzou. But like I said, we just hope that they can lock in on him and hopefully they can get him. All right, we're going to dig into some of these transfers here. We already talked about Carson Beck at length, so we don't too much need to cover him. And we already talked about Xavier Lucas a lot already. So we're going to start off with let's start off with D tackle David Blay out of Louisiana Tech, a 4-star transfer recruit because they rate transfers separately as of out of school. Um, what do you think of him? They got him listed. I think last year he was first team All Conference USA, had 46 total tackles, 10 and a half tackles for losses, 6.5 sacks, 6'4", 303. I keep hearing some things say 250, but it's listed in their guide as 303, 6'4", 303.
He could be another type of impact player like my man that came from Michigan State this past season on the D-line with his size, and he did that at La Tech, so we'll see what he can do against SEC and ACC offensive lines here this season. What he can bring. I mean, he can bring something to the table.
Yeah.
It provides the depth. You know, as long as you have depth on the D-line, you can substitute players and keep fresh guys out there. And if he's got a motor, which he does,
right,
then he'll be an impact player. I'm looking for Miami this year on the defensive side of the ball with the improvements in the secondary to free up the linebackers now to make more plays with the running game, whereas they didn't do that well this past season because the secondary played so poorly.
Right.
And they had to drop into coverage more often, and then you got these delayed runs and play action runs that the year before in 23 didn't get off like that.
Right.
Like they did this year because the linebackers were too busy in coverage, helping out a weak secondary, where I think this upcoming season the secondary is going to be a 180 turn and drastically improved, where now I can lead guys on the island to cover. And my backers can be freed up to stop the run or go from side to side and stay in their respective areas versus having to run out and cover a tight end because the safety can't.
Right.
You know, or run out and cover a running back because the cornerback in the zone can't do it or he's late getting there.
Right.
These were problems created with a secondary that was below par.
Yeah, and he looked pretty explosive on tape. I sit up and watched a lot of tape on him and looked really explosive. So I'm real excited to see what, like you say, what he can bring into the ACC and like say go up against some, you know, Notre Dame be a tough task right off the bat. So it'll be interesting to see with him. Next up, we're gonna talk about D-back Zachariah Poyser out of Jackson State. He a 4-star transfer too coming in. Zachariah 6'2", 190. I think he's coming in as a sophomore safety. So looked at some tape on him. Looked really good, like I said again. And I'm excited. We need help in that D-back area. So
he's very good. He's got 3 years of eligibility. Tall, fast. You want a guy that's aggressive at the cornerback position or safety position, either or, but that has good hand technique and feet technique. That's the key.
Yeah.
I noticed with a lot of football, even in the pros, even in the national championship game, you can't leave a Jeremiah Smith untouched coming off the line of scrimmage without jamming him. I'd rather get beat deep knowing I jammed him and took him off his timing a little bit versus being 10 yards back and he make a move on me and then he buy me.
Right.
And I haven't disrupted his flow. Maybe they weren't confident in their safety play over the top, Notre Dame. I thought they had the secondary to do that. So if your cornerback can get up and jam a receiver within the 5 yards that they are limited to doing that and make him earn it, hey, I'd rather get beat like that.
Right. I agree. Next up, we got young bull out of Michigan State, Charles Brantley, 4-star transfer, coming in. He 6 foot 170. Now, before we get to talking about him, if anybody know any reports, because I haven't seen, you know, last year he had that leg injury. They said ankle. We don't know exactly what's going on with that. I'm pretty sure they do. The coaches know. Don't know if he's going to be ready for spring ball, but looking at the film on him, oh man, I seen him undercut a route. He was like a yard and a half, maybe 2 yards behind the receiver, undercut it, pick it, damn near take it to the house. I seen him look good in coverage. What are your thoughts on him?
Another one. I'm looking him up right now. So,
and while you're looking him up, another thing I wanted to say on him was that he got to be a physical corner because he's playing the Big Ten. So he's going to be able to hit, cover the run, and support and run coverage. So that was some things that I really liked when I watched film on him the last couple of days. Just his ability, he's not scared to come put that helmet on you. He's not scared, to get dirty with you. So
And
I
again,
like that about him.
it's a complete 180 from what they had.
Yeah.
I was very disappointed with the guys in the secondary for Miami this past season. Daryl Porter Jr. left me a lot to be desired. Number 2, you know, I noticed in the South Florida game he was getting ate up.
Yeah.
So with these guys coming in again, it creates depth. It creates the competition in the room. Not all kids are chasing the money and the bag. Some kids want the competition because it's going to make you better. You know, and when you create competition in the room at every position, now who really wants it? Who really wants it? Who wants the playing time? Because, you know, it's not always about being the starter now. You know, back when we played, if you were the starter, you rarely came out.
True.
If you got hurt, there might have been a question mark of who's coming out behind you. But now you got so much depth with these teams. If one guy gets hurt or has to come out because he's winded, I got another stud behind him that can play. So these kids know they're going to get playing time.
Right.
Versus you sitting there saying as a sophomore, man, I got to wait till next year because my man ahead of me is a world beater and he's going to start every game. And unless he gets hurt, you don't want your teammate to get hurt. I'm not going to really see the field except maybe special teams. Whereas now, you know, hey, they do so much subbing to keep guys fresh with different defensive packages between your, you know, dimes and nickels, blitz packages. Guys are going to get the rotations in. So you need to make sure that you got the next guy up and the guy behind him is all equal.
Yeah.
And I like what they're doing. You know, I like the competition.
Okay.
I like the competition. The kids that run from the competition, they go to a school and then they're a 5-star and they realize they get to Alabama and you walk in the room and your position has 3 other 5-stars from different parts of the country there now.
True.
Now what are you going to do? You're going to compete or you're going to bounce to go somewhere else to play.
Right.
It's all about now you got to compete. You're not the only 5-star anymore. Nobody's going to be, you know, yucking you up now because guess what? There's 2 or 3 other cats in the room that are just as good or maybe better than you at that position.
Right.
So
we got about 6 people in this building. Go on and hit that like button so we can get this out to the YouTube atmosphere and smash that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Next up on deck, we got Emmanuel Cornely, Arizona, 4-star transfer. I did watch a film on him, 6'3", 185. What's your thoughts on him?
Again, to reiterate, depth.
Yeah.
Competition.
Yes, sir.
Tall guy. Aggressive. Now, I'm not saying a cornerback that's 5'10 or 5'11 can't play corner. But if I got a tall, strong receiver that's 6'2", 6'4", 200, 205 and physical, I want a corner that can match that. And I want corners that can come up and tackle the running back.
True.
Okay?
True.
That can help with run support.
Yeah.
I need a secondary that's going to be able to do that. So I like the size. I like the size, and I like what he brings to the table.
Yeah, they wasn't too physical at the cornerback. I mean, just being objectively looking at Miami corners, they were not physical at all.
They missed a lot of tackles. A lot of tackles were broken.
Yeah.
With these guys. I try not to think about this past season because I'm thinking if Miami would have had a halfway better defense,
true,
they would have been hoisting that trophy, not Ohio State.
Yeah,
I really believe that because nobody could stop them from scoring. Nobody.
Yeah.
There ain't a team that could have stopped them from scoring. I don't care what nobody's. They didn't have the number 1 offense for nothing. And then you could say about the competition all you want.
Right.
Anybody that could have stopped them. You try to stop the pass, I had 4 monsters at running back. You try to stop my running game, Cam gonna kill you. The O-line was legit. So if you had a halfway decent defense, they playing for a natty.
Right.
Or at least they in the Final Four. I see them playing for the natty. But it is what it is. So now they got to address this defense. So and I think
they're gonna get it done. Like I said, they're making some good moves. So yeah, on that.
once again, and I don't, you win the portal game again. Now you number one again for what? The second or third year, you're the number one team in the portal, grabbing the best talent out of the portal. Okay, fine. Do something with it, Mario.
Yeah.
Do something with it.
Yeah.
Can't win the portal and then go out there and doo-doo up the bed and lose games you're not supposed to lose. I'm sorry. If you're gonna win the portal, do something with it.
I agree.
Okay.
Next up, we got wide receiver. We spoke on him a little bit. CJ Daniels, LSU, 4-star, 6 foot, 180. Looking for him. He gonna have to shine. He's basically coming in to be a number one.
LSU lost a good one there.
Yeah.
They lost a good one because he come out of Liberty. He put up big numbers. I said, if you get him with the right quarterback, he gonna be a top 10 wide receiver in the country. I don't care where. If he'd went to Bama, if he'd went to Notre Dame, you put him with a quarterback, he's gonna produce.
Yeah.
So now he's here. He's a weapon for Carson Beck. I think healthy, he's going to give you some numbers. I think he'll give you anywhere from 8 to 10 touchdowns this year. I expect probably 600 to 800 yards in passing, if not more, in yardage out of him, because there's so many people that can get the rock. But he's the kind of guy that can stretch the field. He's a possession type receiver. I think Shannon Dawson has enough offensive playmaking that would get him open. He reminds me of old boy that just transferred to Bama, number 2. That was at Miami. And then he chased the bag and went down to Bama.
Yeah.
And he was going to be the number 1. So, but anyway, he's that type of guy.
Yeah. He's going to have to step up, fill some big shoes. So, I think he's ready for it.
I think he's ready. He was ready when he got to LSU. He was ready.
Yeah.
He just got hurt.
We'll get talking about another corner coming over from Washington State, Ethan O'Connor, 3-star. The rest of these going to be 3-stars, so I don't have to keep saying it. 3-star transfers coming in. Look pretty good. His measurements is 6'1", 160. So So what you think about old Ethan there?
Speed and again depth, the height. They're gonna get them boys in the conditioning room and get them conditioned, get some weight, get a little weight on them. But again, another depth guy.
Yeah.
And with the competition, we're going to see come spring and come summertime and fall camp. Now you're going to see who won it.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see who Miami going to hire as a D-backs coach.
Yeah, that's going to be
interesting. They're in the search for a defensive backs coach right now. So who's out there that they might want to get that's, a quality defensive back coach to coach the secondary up. So,
yeah. All right, now we finna dig in. Now, they had to refill or replenish their tight end. So we got one that's a B. So they brought in Alex Bauman, Tulane, 3-star. Alex measurement 6'4", 231. More of a run blocker, can't catch, but watch some film on him. Looked pretty good.
He's a great blocker.
Yeah.
So this is, that was his thing. He's more of a blocking type tight end. He's the guy you might forget about in the play action that would be open because everybody think he's going to block, and then there he is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Shannon Dawson has a very sneaky offense. He showed everybody that this year, playing 2 and 3 tight ends at a time. You can't cover all of them.
Right.
You can't cover all of them. Somebody going to be open. That run-pass option is that RPO going to be there, and one of them going to slip out, and there he is.
Right.
So I expect him to be more of a run blocker and to be one of those type of running tight ends rather that will slip out when you least expect it and get you that first down you need.
All righty. Now this is the need that we needed. Right, coming up next, we got James Brockermeyer out of TCU going to come in and fill that role at center. So that was a big kid for us. He's 6'3", 270 for people that didn't know his measurements. What you say about him there?
Another home run. That's the third in a row where Cristobal gets a home run with the center. Okay?
Yeah.
Last year's center that they got, top notch. The year before,
Yeah.
He went in the league. Another one. The center is like the QB for the O line, so you got to have a solid center. And they've done it again. They went out and hit a home run with the center position. So I'm not worried about the O line. I'm not worried about. They got enough depth, and he's turned the program around by getting in the trenches.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's something other coaches reiterate. I mean, even our beloved Dion said the same thing. He wants to go out there and get some big boys that can block.
Yeah,
you got
this. Need them.
You got this 5-star coming in to be your next quarterback behind Shedeur. So guess what? If I can't block for him, he's gonna be running for his life. You got to go out there. You got to get guys in the trenches. You just can't have skill position players, because the team that's got the beef up front, they're going to wear you down. And by the fourth quarter, it's a wrap.
Yeah. Next up, we got tight end coming in. Another tight end, Jack Nickel out of UAB. He's more of the pass catcher that they bring it in. Now, one thing that I did see, he's 6'4", 230, but this is his third school. You know, he came from Michigan State, then went to UAB, nice, here at University of Miami. Don't know all the circumstances of why he's left three. This is his third school, but hey, we're glad to have him and hope he can produce. So
depth. I'm not sure about him as far as maybe it was academics. He left Michigan State, went down to UAB, and maybe he got some reps in down to UAB, and he's ready to take it to the next level and compete once again. I got a tight end room with 4 really good tight ends.
Yeah.
With the freshman coming back this year, coming up, and he's already shown that he's all that.
Right.
So and you already, so we're gonna have 5 guys in the tight end room.
Right.
Okay. And unless one of them transfers, I got a lot of depth there and a lot of potential development there. So they don't call the Miami tight end U for nothing.
Oh, and a little caveat: doesn't hurt that Luke Nichols is his younger brother, so they bring him on in there too. You know,
right?
So that helps out a lot. You know.
So I think Cristobal is trying to build relationships and pipelines, like with a Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas, that school.
Yeah.
If you build these pipelines and you're producing on the field and you producing with the development, these kids are going to come. They're going to see. So in the near future, we won't lose any more Jeremiah Smiths. And the young man that went to LSU that was the 5-star corner. I suspect after this year, he might be looking to leave. I don't see much coming out of LSU.
Nah.
I really don't. I think the SEC, the top schools in the SEC this year are going to be Florida, Texas. The teams returning quarterbacks. There are a lot of teams that are looking for quarterbacks in the SEC. Missouri, Bama, Ole Miss.
Yeah.
You know, South Carolina gonna be strong. Sellers is he's my Heisman front runner right now. He should have been in the Heisman race this past one. He is right. He remind me of Cam Newton a lot. Lenore Sellers at South Carolina is very nice. He's gonna be he can throw, he can run, and he's only gonna get better. So those are the teams I'm looking at in the SEC that I think are going to ascend to the top. I don't think you're going to see your LSUs and your Bamas, maybe A&M.
Yeah.
But, Missouri, I don't know. I'm not going to hate on my state, but, who they going to replace the quarterback? I think they got a quarterback from somewhere.
Right.
They got some pieces to replace.
Yeah.
Missouri. But I think right now, Florida, South Carolina, and Texas are your top 3 schools, I think, in the SEC.
Right.
Unless they get this transfer portal and NIL thing in check and put some regulations on it.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Out of control, man.
It's big time out of
control.
Free
fall right now.
Yeah. It's the person with the highest bag, get the best players. Right. And we already know how that goes. And then sometimes when you're dealing with the younger generation, they go to what's hot. And it's not a lot of I'm not going to say it's not a lot of tradition. It just seems like traditional colleges is not that big of a deal anymore. It's like you come with that money.
The younger generation is a what can you do for me now type generation.
Yeah.
They not looking at, they don't have an attitude like a Clinton Portis had back in 98, 97, coming out of high school, 98, when he was considering not coming to Miami because he was waiting to see what Edgerrin James was going to do.
Right.
And Edge told him it shouldn't matter what I'm going to do. You coming here for the competition. Whether I decide to go pro or not, you coming here for the competition. And that's why he came there. He knew he was going to be behind James Jackson.
Right.
But you got to crawl before you walk. Whereas these kids now, they want to come in right away. Like, hey, I'm a star where I'm at. I expect to play now.
Right.
And they might not be so quick to go to a school where their position is already filled with somebody that's established, and they're going to have to work behind them and develop behind them.
Right. And some of the younger fans also expect some of these freshmen to come in and play right away.
The fan base
is
just as bad, man.
Right.
This is the fan base that thinks Mayweather and LeBron are the GOATs. They don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna post this statement that Devon put up real quick and see if you agree with this, sir. It says they did Edge wrong having them play behind Tiger McMillan.
That you can make that argument. Yeah, he did have to go behind McMillan, but when he got in there, you saw what Edge could do.
Hey,
and when he got to the Colts, you really saw what he could do.
Right, true. We got 15 people in this building. Smash that like button so we can get this out there. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel, please. These last two, before we move on, because I want to go back to we were talking about the fans, and I got a chart I want to put up so people in the chat could comment on. But the last two we're going to comment on is Adam Booker, out of Charlotte. He's just a long I shouldn't say he's just a long snapper. He's a long snapper. And Carter Davis, they brought in a kicker from FAU, Florida Atlantic. So I'm going to share my screen.
I want to say real quick, deep snapper is very important.
Oh, yeah.
We knew that in high school.
Right. Now, this here, it's going to be hard for you guys to see, but this is the top 50 worst fan base right here. And Miami is ranked number 9. So I thought this was interesting because I didn't know how, and it was by Barstool, which you guys know is a big betting site and has a lot to do with sports. And number 1 was Ohio State, and I didn't know how they judged the 50 worst fans.
Don't laugh at me.
That's okay. How did they come up with it? So, the people in the chat, do you agree? Miami at number 9 for the 50 worst fan base? And
I don't see how they got Florida State 8 because they they should be in the top 3.
Right. They got Ohio State, Auburn, Alabama, LSU, Texas, Liberty, UCF, Florida State, Miami, and Notre Dame is number 10.
No,
for
that's
those
what they
that's having
got.
a hard time seeing.
I would say number 1. I wouldn't even put Ohio State 1. They're arrogant, but they won some natty. So and they got a deep. They go back a long way. They're still arrogant, but I would say the worst fan base, for real, the worst 3 are down here in Florida.
And why would you say that?
Because Miami, I'm not giving Miami fans a pass at all.
Right.
They act like some straight babies, man. A lot of them act like some straight babies. I mean, the Florida State fan base, they're delusional because every year, and they're supposed to do that, but every year they got Miami on the brain. All year, recruiting time, springtime, they can't focus on what they got to do. They always focusing on what's going on down in the 305.
Right.
And the Gator fans, they just in the league by themselves. They've been talking smack. I mean, did y'all see what happened last August 31st?
Yeah.
I mean, you shouldn't even say anything at this point. Just be quiet. It's not Gainesville, it's Canesville. They came down there and did what they did. But the Miami fan base, like I said, they don't get a pass from me because a lot of them, they want now. They want the now.
Right.
Man, we ain't been relevant in 20 years.
Right.
You can't expect to come out of the womb and start running right away. It's been a long time.
Right.
A long time. A lot of these fans weren't around in the late 90s and early 2000s either. They were children or little kids.
True.
Those of us that are old enough to remember, we were mad at Butch Davis, at first, but, Butch inherited a mess.
Yeah.
But once he got it on track, hey, it took some phantom money to come out of somewhere to make him leave to go to the Browns, because I feel like if he would have never left.
Right. And that was NIL before NIL.
Right, that was some pro NIL. I mean, everybody said, well, I understand him leaving. He had to go make that money and go to a pro team. I'm like, he went to the worst franchise in the NFL. Still.
Right.
The Browns. I mean, Deion don't want his son even going there.
Right, yeah.
Cleveland Browns is a no. They ruined quarterbacks. They look how they did Baker Mayfield and how they did my man that won the Heisman, and look how they doing all these guys they don't anyway. So Miami the fan base, I would dare say the younger half, they watched the YouTube videos and they seen what was done in the past, and it's like, hey, we all want that.
Right.
But the times have changed, the game has changed, the rules have changed. You have a lot of pieces at play. You have a cable sports network that really has, in my opinion, tainted the sport.
Yeah.
Badly.
Yeah.
And it's not just college football. I think they're hurting the NBA. That's why their numbers are down. I really think the cable sports network, and I don't have to say who they are. You know what the four letters are.
ESPN, that's what I call them.
They have heard. They were better when they were just reporting when they had Sports Center and they had a game here or there.
Right.
So anyway, our fan base, the Florida fan base, the Florida State fan base. Yeah, Ohio State, I put them in the top 10. I wouldn't say they're number one because they've got some national titles that they won. So they can boast a little bit. Wouldn't we all?
Hey, I'm going to tell you who I think my number one is now. It just came along this year. It's that damn Colorado fan base.
Well, they knew. They are new. Let me tell you something. And I know this ain't popular. I don't care. You got a lot of people holding Deion's nuts like a squirrel holding nuts in his mouth. All of a sudden, it's a bunch of Colorado fans because Deion is there.
Right.
Okay. I don't hate Deion. I don't dislike Deion. I'm not a fan of Deion's because when I see Deion, I see a Seminole.
Right. It is.
I remember those days. So it's just a football thing. It ain't a personal thing. I like what he's doing as a coach and whatnot, but where were all these Colorado fans before that? Just say you're a Deion fan. If Deion pack it up and leave to go to Dallas, you're going to see a lot of people trading in Colorado hats and hoodies for Cowboy hats and hoodies.
Right. Let me see this one right here.
He ain't going to Dallas.
It says, going back to what you guys were talking about, saying that the fans want players to play early. All you have to do is to turn the NCAA ones. They open up things for players to move around the way they want.
Well, I mean, until they readjust the rules and put some parameters in place for the kids that want to transfer after they've been there a year or whatnot, and are they chasing the bag and they leave a school to go chase another bag, they need to limit these bags.
Yeah. I'll tell you how I think on that, and it's not the popular opinion, but I do believe players should have freedom to move.
Of course.
I still think that you got to put stipulations where you just not every season you don't like your situation, you can bounce. This, you don't bounce. This,
right.
I just don't. I think you could stop it by saying, okay, if you transfer,
you got to get that money back.
You got to get that money back. The school that taking you got to buy the money, or you're going to have to sit out a year. You're going to have to go back to that again too. You can't. I mean, you transfer. You're going to have to. You can go to the school, but if you transfer again,
I would say instead of sitting out a year, how many transfer portal sessions do they have? They have one like right after the season. They're going to have another one
April, I think.
In the spring after. I think. I don't know if it's before or after spring practice, all the spring games. They're gonna have another one.
Yeah.
Okay, I think they need to fix it where they don't have a transfer till after the national championship season.
Yeah.
And I would like to see a stipulation is if you transfer, if you want to transfer, you have to play in your bowl. You have to
Yeah.
finish your season with that school. You can't just, I'm gonna opt out so I don't get hurt, so I can transfer to Bama or transfer,
Or
Same with
like the guy from UNLV did. He left 5 games of the season to save whatever he wanted to save, and then he wound up at a worse school, I think, than UNLV. So, but yeah, he did it to save eligibility, and go in the portal. And coaches, going back to Jamaica Kane, coaches have been doing it, but it don't make it right. We know the situations with coaches, then signed long extensions, and then they wind up leaving, and it still doesn't make it right,
It
and it
doesn't
hurts
make it
the
right.
game.
If they're going to give the coach an out, they should give the student athlete an out.
Right.
Everybody should have a stipulation. I don't think the coaches get a stipulation.
Right. Yeah.
And
I
the
think that
coaches
all needs to be reined in.
and the coaches don't catch the heat like the player does.
True. And that's why I think reform has to come on all levels. It's not just the players that it has to come from, that the NCAA, they have to do the same thing for the coaches too. And I'm more in line, like you say, buy them out. If the school wants to buy out their NIL, put it on the schools that want to buy it out. Do it like coaching in the NFL. Buy the contracts out.
I don't have a problem with that. And like I said, maybe readjust the transfer time periods when these kids can transfer. Wait till the season's over. I mean, after the national championship game, and put stipulations in there, like I mentioned, you have to play in your bowl game.
Right.
Maybe even if you just play a quarter, if you have to play. You can't just up on your team and say, I'm sitting out, I'm transferring, I'm going to sit out. Same if you're going in the league. If you want to go in the league, you got to complete your season.
Right.
All this getting hurt, all this stuff wasn't talked about back in the day.
Nah, it's crazy.
You played. You may or may not get hurt, but you play. I'm not going to be the star player and then say, I'm going to sit out so I can go to the combine. You might get hurt in the combine.
Right, yeah.
You
And
might
the funny
twist
thing
ankle,
is,
knee, doing something, for scouts in the league before you go. You can't have that mentality, man.
right. And to harken back on that, and we're talking about players playing, Jim Phillips, which we all know is the ACC commissioner, they're thinking about tweaking some things that I've read. They're trying to pose some things to the thing, and they said that one of the things that I want your opinion on is to have the regular season champion get a bye, and 2 and 3 play each other, and then them two meet in the ACC game. That's the first thing. And the second thing they were thinking about doing was doing a tournament style. 1 and 4 play each other at the last game of the season. 2 and 3 play each other, and the winner of that plays in the ACC championship game. What do you think about some of those propositions?
I would have to read up more on those. I'm more in favor of not having a championship game at all. Myself, I would rather, if you finish with the best record in your conference, you win your conference. I'm all for the elimination of a championship game and the elimination of the committee. You got to get this committee out of this thing, because it now becomes a popularity contest of who they want to pick,
right?
Versus the numbers. If you style your playoff after the NFL or like high schools did or used to do, or some still do, if you finish in first place of your conference, you automatically go to playoff and you win your conference. They didn't used to have when they were in the Big East, they didn't have a Big East title game.
Right, yeah.
It came down, I remember in 2001 when they played Syracuse, they were both undefeated in the Big East. Whoever won that game was going to win the Big East Conference.
Right.
Miami won, so they won the Big East. Syracuse had one loss. They got a decent bowl game, but I'm in favor of that. Now, that is unlikely to happen because there's too much money in the sport now, too much influence. The first option you gave may be better where 2 and 3 play each other to play 1.
Okay, yeah.
Again, how do you feel about the college season being so late? Here we had a national championship game January 20th, when it used to be anywhere from the 1st through the 4th, depending on how the holiday fell and whatnot. Usually your national championship was crowned around then. Now you're going almost 3 weeks in, you up against the NFL playoffs playing a national championship.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I think a lot of that got to do with money, and I think it was their back way of trying to get people to play in bowl games because without those games that were played earlier with with SMU and all them the first round of the playoffs, a lot of those players in the first round wouldn't even have played in these
no, they
bowl
would have
games.
did what a lot of the Florida
Yeah,
State guys did last year. They would have
yeah,
opted out.
yep,
They would have opted out, and then Florida State plays Georgia and gets absolutely destroyed because
yeah,
all the guys that were NFL bound opted out. So you really can't you fielding a Division II squad to go up against Georgia. And
right,
that's
yeah,
not what happened because
yeah,
all of Florida State's and they got done wrong. They were 13-0 and they got left out of the playoff all
yeah,
because their quarterback got hurt.
yeah,
So I felt they got done wrong at Florida State. I mean, it is what it is.
yeah,
But then all their guys decided to say, well, we won the ACC title game. And then they all decided to say, you know what, I'm going in the draft. I'm going to combine. I'm going to opt out. And then you see what happened in the bowl game. And it wasn't a good look. It wasn't a look good for Norvell. It wasn't a good look for the school, for the program to go out there. Florida State's not supposed to lose like that.
nah,
Not them.
they shouldn't have opted
Like
out.
them or not, they're not supposed to. I mean, you lose, fine, but to get beat like that because a third of your team decides to opt out,
Yeah,
they got to fix that, man.
yeah, yeah. Another interesting thing, Reggie Bang, which is he was an offensive line grad assistant, left to go to I think SMU, and I thought it was interesting because it's Ruben Bain's brother, and that dynamic. Happy for the man. Hopefully he does good over there.
It's a
And I
career
just want,
move. That's a
yeah,
career move for him. That's all.
yeah,
That's a
and
career move for him. That's gonna make his resume look better. He go down to SMU, and if SMU can have some success with their offensive line, I'm interested to see how they're gonna look this year. Coming back from what type of season they had. Red Lashley is a good offensive mind. He's a very good offensive coordinator, not head coach. So I'm interested to see how they come back after the type of season they had. To me, the dark horse is still going to be Clemson because Dabo is staying true to not having transfer portal players. He completely believes in development of high school talent, and if he can keep his coaches there, I think Clemson is going to be right there in the thick of it. I can see Miami and Clemson playing this thing out. With Belichick going to North Carolina, that's a name.
yeah, that's the name.
They'll be okay, but I'm interested to see what Norvell does with Florida State. Can he turn it around?
Turn it around. Yeah, he got some interesting guys, and he's pretty high in the portal too. I think they're like right behind us. Like I think they're like number 7, or they're in the top 10 in the transfer portal recruiting. So
I want to see what they do. I want to see what they do. The rest of the teams. Syracuse is another one. Are they going to be able to replace their quarterback?
Yeah.
They on the upswing. So it's.
Yeah. And I want to Dave. Yeah, we know they take Clemson. Say Clemson do take portal players. We know they just don't take them at a higher clip. So we wasn't trying to be absolute saying they don't. Well, I'm not trying to say.
Well, that's news to me because maybe they just start because I thought Dabo at one point didn't want any of them.
No, I think Dabo, what he was doing was making players that signed with him saying they couldn't do any more recruiting. I think that was the big thing Dabo was doing and caught a lot of headlines because he doesn't allow players to go on other recruiting trips once they pledge with him. I thought that was one of the things that they were talking about. But I knew he doesn't take a high clip of portal players. He does believe in development of his players, So I want to ask you a question. We talked last week, and you told me the ACs you did like. You said you liked Jed Fish and Shannon Doss. What OCs didn't you like the Hurricanes had?
I didn't care for old boy that came from Florida State when he used to be the OC at Florida State for Jimbo. Jimbo called the plays, but he was the offensive coordinator. And then he was from Miami. He come down and took over. And he made some boneheaded calls. I remember in that bowl game, he made a boneheaded decision, and people questioned that. I didn't really like his offense too much. I liked Jed Fish. 1 year he was there. I thought if he would have stayed longer, I thought Stephen Morris gets slept on as a quarterback that Miami had. I really do. He had a beautiful deep ball. He was mobile. I really like Stephen Morris. I just felt like if he would have had a consistent, it's about consistency, man. You gotta if you got a coach that you can have and work with every year versus switching up. I mean, Morris had 3 different coordinators at 3 different times.
Yeah.
So, you know, you don't have any continuity and consistency going on. I mean, kind of like what Keyshawn said at wide receiver. He never had a consistent quarterback in 11 seasons.
Yeah, and that hurts. Miami finished 18th in the AP. I think they were preseason number 19, so they finished 1 spot ahead. It was their highest ranking since 2017, where they finished 13th. That's crazy. And the reason why I point that out, because it goes back to what you said, what fans expect out of us. And when you look at that, most people don't think that that's the highest we've been ranked in, what, 6, 7 years,
8 years.
8 years, yeah.
8 years since 7. And I would dare say that this team was better than the 17 team when they beat Notre Dame that year. They won some games that year. They were some lucky games to win. That Georgia Tech game I went to down there in the rain, they should have lost that game. There were some close ball games that year.
Yeah.
They had a decent defense that year. You give me that defense with this year's offense, they win a natty. Put it to you like that. So 18th, okay, that's fine. Stay humble with that. I didn't expect them to finish in the top 10.
Yeah.
I knew they were going to crucify him for losing to Syracuse and then losing that bowl game, but that bowl game wasn't important.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you think that the bowl game hurt them in the rankings? Because here's the interesting thing.
It's a lose-lose. The bowl game was a lose-lose. If you win the game, people going to talk mess because you won the damn, what was it, Pop-Tart Bowl. All the Florida State fans of Florida, they're going to say it was the Pop-Tart Bowl. I would have never dared brag about a Pop-Tart Bowl to anybody. You think I could go up against Ohio State or Notre Dame or Clemson fans or Bama fans? Man, you won the Pop-Tart Bowl. Let Iowa State have
Hey, I'd have took the win in the Pop-Tart Bowl.
I'd have took the win, but I wouldn't have said shit. I'd have kept my mouth shut like it's the Pop-Tart Bowl. So winning the game, you take a loss. You lose the game, you took a loss. I'd rather take the L to see what I needed. Cam gave you a great first half. He did what he had to do in the first half and showed you what they took his helmet from him in halftime. He wasn't going to play in the second half. Right. Okay. So it's the Pop-Tart Bowl. It'd been different if it was the Orange Bowl or maybe the Gator Bowl or something.
Right.
A Pop-Tart Bowl, and then this freaking toaster. You can have that, okay? You can have that. Iowa State wanted it so bad. We want 11 wins for our program. Okay, Iowa State, you're Iowa State. You can have your 11 wins. You can have that. Now we see where we at. I think we'll be better off in 2025 than Iowa State going to be.
Yeah, and for clarity, season records, we finished 18th. SMU finished 12th. Clemson finished 14th. Syracuse 20th. Louisville 28th.
Syracuse finished 20th?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe so.
They finished the season, 9-3?
Yeah.
And won their bowl game. I think 20th is kind of that's kind of low. I think they should have got a little better than that. I think if Syracuse plays SMU, that's a toss-up.
But then they would have been over us because we finished 18th.
That's fine. They look good. Yeah. Look at what kind of offense.
Oh, yeah, they look good. Yeah.
Look what they did to us in the last game of the year. I mean, their quarterback is legit. Ohio State screwed that boy and made him the scapegoat for Ryan Day's piss-poor play calling in the 23 season.
Yeah.
And ran him out of town and blamed him for the loss to Michigan. When really he came to Syracuse, what's his name, Kyle McCormick. I mean, come on. He was nice at quarterback. He gonna be in the NFL. He's a nice quarterback. He's gonna fit in somewhere very nicely.
Yeah, I agree with Jamaica Cater. He said Alabama shouldn't have finished ahead of us. I
No, they
watched
shouldn't
Alabama.
have.
Yeah, I watched
No,
them.
they
They did
shouldn't
not
have.
look good
When
at all.
you lose to Oklahoma and not even score a touchdown, I'm sorry.
Right.
You don't
Yeah.
even score a touchdown.
Yeah.
Losing to Vanderbilt was bad enough.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But
Right.
then you go out to Oklahoma and play a average at best Sooner team, and you don't even score a touchdown.
Right.
Come on, man. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. We got 22 people in the building. Smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. I'm gonna put Anthony up here. He asked an interesting question. Would you rather have a recruiter or a developer of talent at DC, at defensive coordinator?
That's a tough question right there because I would lean toward a developer.
Mm,
I would lean toward the developer. I only say that because I got other guys that can recruit.
yeah,
Okay. I got other guys that can recruit. So if I got a defensive coordinator that can develop, I got a Mario that can recruit. I got other
right,
people that can recruit. Mario, he's not going to be of the same ilk as a Saban as of yet, but he's up there as far as, remember, he recruited for Saban.
right,
He left Golden after the 2013. He got hired by Al Golden, and a few months later, he bounced to go to Alabama for a few years, and then all of a sudden, Alabama was getting top players out of Florida, and their line play was exceptional. So he can recruit. If my head coach can recruit, and I got a DC that can really develop guys, and recruits can see that, hey man, I'm getting ready for the next level, I'd rather have a developer.
right.
Because with a recruiter, with a recruiter, you're gambling on getting a kid.
Yeah,
Whereas a developer, if I get a kid, no matter who I get, I can develop him into what I may want him to be or what he is aspiring to be to get to the next level.
right.
That comes with conditioning, that comes with diet, and that comes with on the
Yeah,
field play.
yeah. And I agree because I think we need a developer because even in the NFL, what happens when you get quarterbacks? They'll be like, "Oh, he's a good developer of quarterbacks." You can take a quarterback out of college, you could develop them. You could take
What
a
happens when
college.
you don't develop him? Look at Jamarcus Russell.
Right. Yeah.
The Raiders screwed that boy. They blame him, call him the biggest dud of all time. They didn't develop him for the next level.
Okay. Hold on one second. I'm gonna just take this. I said you guys should work over having a minute a person call show. That's going to be saved for during the season.
Hey, we got to crawl before we walk. We got to
Yeah.
get this thing going. I'm trying to improve my on camera persona.
Right.
Wayne trying to improve his.
Right.
If you look at other podcasts, they worked on things. We have to do the same thing,
Right.
So you have to crawl before you walk.
Right.
We'll be able to get
And
to
like I
that
say,
point.
by season kickoff, we will have that at the end of the show. So
Right.
just stay tuned.
You have
Just
to,
keep smashing that like button,
right.
subscribing, getting this content out. We'll grow and we're going to take care of
We're
that.
going to grow. It'll take
Yeah.
care of itself. Once we grow and we're able to do the type of research we want to do, the before show conversating and it'll come.
Right. What do you think was Miami's worst loss of the season? Like, yeah, their worst loss last year.
This past season,
Yeah.
the Syracuse game.
Okay. And why?
You jumped out, you up 3 touchdowns. You up 21-0.
Mm.
And some told me then with the defense we had, I said, I think they busted their nut a little too early because now they can try to, and sure as they came back.
Yeah.
My first thought is 21-0. Okay, we're gonna play in the ACC title game. But then my very next thought was, I'm like, I don't know with this defense.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it's like they didn't improve anything.
Yeah.
They didn't work on anything from the Georgia Tech loss. Yeah, you came back and beat Wake Forest, but it's like it was the same old.
Yeah.
And Syracuse exploited that. They knew the secondary was boo-boo. They knew it.
Yeah.
Go after them. They knew it. They knew it was boo-boo. All they had to do was 3-step drops. The D-line can't get to them. Yeah, you can't. You're not going to score on every drive. Cam ain't going to get a touchdown every drive.
Right.
So I said the first time Miami stalled and got a punt, it gives them a chance. They come down and score. I said, okay, if we don't come out and score, they're going to get the rock back. With the defense we got, Bugs Bunny could run through that.
Right.
They came back and scored, and they slowly crept back into the game, and then
that shocked me. That game really did.
You're going to have errors in the game. You're going to have miscues in the game. Things are going to happen. But in this case, when your defense cannot stop running noses, I'm sorry, man. That was the worst loss. I'm not even going to call the Georgia Tech a bad loss, even though it was a bad loss, because there were some close games. You got folks that are going to argue they should have lost to Virginia Tech. I was at that game.
Right.
I was there. And, dude, when the game was over, I could tell you some of our classmates was blowing me up. About y'all cheated. But when you leave games to chance like that,
right,
you have to go out here and solidly defeat teams. And they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it on the defensive side of the ball. Like I said, they could score, but when you can't stop the other team, if you stall out on a drive here or there and they end up getting the lead, then
And if anybody in the chat, who do you guys think was their worst loss? I'm gonna put Jamaica Kane up here, who said I think it was his Georgia Tech game, because we left sure points off the board and we went forward on too many fourth downs. That was on the head coach, and I agree, but I still think, to me, Syracuse, because they blew that big lead. And
I'm not gonna say Jamaica wrong.
No, no.
I would ask, if they beat Georgia Tech and lose to Syracuse, where would they have been? Would they have made the title game with that one less loss to Syracuse? I mean, the Georgia Tech and the ACC, would they have still made it? They may have made the title game, but then you're going into a title game coming off an L.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas losing to Georgia Tech and turning it around and winning that Syracuse game and showing that, hey, we belong, because that was the talk that whole week leading up to the Syracuse game.
Right.
Does Miami belong? Do they belong? And they came out and just on all cylinders. Next you know, it's 21-0. I'm thinking, okay, this might be a route. Maybe they are everybody, okay, we've been messing around long enough. We belong. But then all of a sudden, that dude in the back room, that defense, they just was like, hey. And so, I mean, I guess there's no really wrong answer. You don't want to L, but at the end of the day, man, did we really think they was going to go 10-2 this year?
Vegas, at the beginning of the season? No, I don't think so.
Vegas had them at 9.5 to start the season.
Right.
So that was 9 to 10 wins. So you got the 10 wins. I think everybody was just disappointed because of the quarterback we had, the offensive firepower they had. You thinking, okay, nobody can stop them from scoring. They should be in the upper echelon.
Right.
But the other side of the ball was garbage.
Yeah.
So that's what killed the season.
Yeah.
So 10-2, I'll take it. I'll take the 18 ranking. It keeps you humble. I'll take it. Right. But the younger fans want they want the honey now.
Right.
They want the honey right now. We should have did this and all this fire Mario and all this. You fire Mario and then what? Who you gonna go get?
Right. Yeah. I mean that's just ridiculous.
Come on, let's keep it real. You let Guidry go. He wasn't cutting it with the defense. The whole staff is gone except for Jason Taylor. All right. Yeah. So, okay, now what? Let's see what I don't think the offense is going to take a step back with Shannon Dawson unless something crazy happened and Dawson decides to split. I don't see him leaving. So now Miami is staying paying a bag to a player, pay the bag to these coaches to keep them.
Right. Yeah. And they probably will. What do you think was their most complete win of last year? Were they on both sides of the ball? What game do you think that? In the chat, put in who you think is their most complete game.
Well, the first game of the year, they looked really good, but it was a mirage. And I say that because Florida was loaded. They had all their players. They had all their players on that Gators team, and they're at home, and Cam showed you why they said it. What about it? And the defense, they did okay in that game.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the game, even when the defense let me down, the game I liked was that Louisville game. That game at Louisville. I mean, Cam lit it up. I mean, he and so did Martinez at running back. And the defense did have a couple plays in there where he hit old boy on the goal line and made him fumble, and they got the touchdown in the end zone. I thought that was really big.
Right.
It was big for the defense. Because Louisville was a really good team.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I can't measure against Florida State was down. South Florida, no.
Right.
Duke, no. Even though Duke had a good team, the game that stood out to me outside of Florida was the Louisville game because you're going to Papa John Stadium. They don't call it that now, but that's how I remember it.
Right, right.
Being at Louisville, they were ranked, and they beat Clemson at Clemson. They had a good team, and they were a well-coached team. But every game Miami was in, there was some controversy. The Cam fumble in that game, they ruled it a forward pass. Even though the Louisville quarterback even said, yeah, man, it was a fumble pass. The naysayers are going to say, oh, the refs helped you again. I don't count the Cal game. That was a great game at Cal, but it shouldn't have never came to that. But your defense, oh my God, the defense showed you that they was just hot garbage that night.
Yeah, they was horrible that game.
Against them?
Yeah, they was horrible. I think that game right there, I'm gonna be honest, that game just let me know how bad our defense really was.
I stayed up that night, man. I stayed up. I was up to once. I stayed up in that game. I didn't give up hope. I watched, and it was down by what? 20-some points, and it was late. And I thought, okay, I ain't going to bed. I'm going to watch this. And then when they started coming back, I was like, if they pull this off, and you could tell by old boy that was calling the game for ESPN, he was, what's his name?
He was winning.
Reese Davis was,
yeah.
I mean, you could just hear the hate in his voice. He was like, he was so disgusted that Miami did what they did. And that just lets me know, the cable sports network, they really hate Miami over there. I want people to know that.
Yeah, they
really hate Miami at the cable sports network.
Hey, that's why I'm gonna read this quick statement here. It said Louisville game Cam should have won the Heisman. He had to score on every possession to win the game. Yeah, he did. Yeah. I mean, and he did. Shoot.
He did.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like Louisville was not Wake Forest. It wasn't like Louisville was like a weak squad or nothing like that. They had a good team. They had a good defense. They had a well-coached team. And they at home in their environment. I've been to that stadium.
Yeah.
I was there for Miami with Brad Kaya's first game was when they played down there. And the place is bananas.
Yeah.
So Louisville fans are bananas.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it was an easy place to play. And the Heisman it's over with now. I still say that out of the four guys that were there, that the best player in the country didn't win the award.
Cam should have won the Heisman. And people say I'm biased too about Cam should have won.
You can say we're biased, but even if I take this hat off and put on a Notre Dame hat, or Alabama hat, I'm sorry if I'm going to measure it on the four best players that you're giving me on this stage.
Yeah.
He was the best player in the country. You're supposed to give the award to the best player.
Cam was so good. I'm gonna tell you, I would walk up and everybody know I'm a Miami Hurricane fan. People that's Alabama fans or whatever, they'll come up, they say, hey, that Cam the truth. When other people come up telling you that,
You put Cam with Notre Dame, they win the national title. You put Cam with Alabama, they win the SEC. They beat whoever they play. They don't lose to Vanderbilt. Okay. There's so much disdain for Miami that from the cable sports network to Sports Illustrated to USA Today, there's a lot of disdain for the school. I mean, Miami lives rent free in people's heads to this day, and they haven't been really relevant for 20 years, man, since 03.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because even the year, was that 2017, they lost to Nebraska? What
They
year was
lost
that?
to Pitt. At Pitt, that pitiful game when they were 10-0, and then they lost to Pitt.
But they still got a bowl game, right? That year?
They lost to Pitt. Then they got waxed by Clemson in the ACC title game.
Okay.
And then they lost the bowl game.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That was under what's his name that took over as coach that came from Georgia. That Mark
Rick. Yeah.
And even Rick said then we love Mark Rick. He got he put up his money to get the indoor facility built.
Yeah.
But he even said in the interview, I need depth. He knew then you got to have depth, man, especially at the line position. If I don't have depth, all it takes is for one guy to go down, and then that could change the trajectory of a game and your season.
Right. And shout out to Mark Rick. He still represents us on the ACC network. Always shouting out to you. So, hey, shout out to Mark Rick. I enjoy him. Is there anything else we want to cover before we get up out of here?
I just want to say I'm liking the recruits coming in. I'm liking what the transfer portal's bringing in. But like I said, and I want to reiterate that to our fan base, and I'm sure other fans, I don't care about winning the offseason with the transfer portal.
Right.
Okay. I want to win during the season. So that's for Mario and his staff. Show me where you can win during the season. Okay. You win the transfer battle again, getting the best players out of the portal for the second or third year straight. Okay. But unless you can put that on the field and make it and I think this is going to be the year they're going to have a complete squad now on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
You got some tough games. You got Florida coming to town. Florida was a different team with old boy at quarterback.
Oh, yeah. He looked DJ Lagway.
Yes.
Yeah.
My man is nice. They put some weapons around.
Nice. You can't take nothing from him.
He's nice. And then you got Notre Dame. I'm not worried about Notre Dame because Notre Dame just lost some guys to the pros. They lost some guys to the
quarterback,
draft, to the portal. They lost a coach. I'm not saying they're going to be down, but they're not going to be the same Notre Dame coming down to South Florida this year as they were that finished up with Ohio State. And I was pulling for them.
Yeah.
I was pulling for them in this. I mean, I don't disdain Notre Dame like I do in Ohio State. Yeah, he's a 50% passer, but you know what? If he doesn't get hurt, I think they beat Georgia.
Yeah, they would have beat Georgia.
They would have beat Georgia.
They was on their tail.
He's not,
and he brings a different dynamic than his passing. Yeah.
They should have beat Tennessee. They lost in overtime after everybody was dogging. I'm not worried about Florida State. That Florida team, they might make some ripples this year in the SEC. They're not going to be bad like folks said they're going to be bad. Like last year. They weren't
that be worse than they was last year.
They say, they got a tough schedule. They might be lucky to win 3 games. I'm like, you know what? Hey, Napier proved some people wrong. They finished okay. I think they're gonna be ready when they come to Miami to play.
Yeah.
I don't expect Miami to run the table.
No.
I don't. No. I don't expect that. You can't expect that, man. I don't think any team out there is gonna run the table. I don't care who it is. Ohio State's not. Everybody's losing players.
Yeah.
Now it's going to come down to which coaching staff for each individual school is going to be able to put it together, develop what you got, and put it on the field. I don't think Texas is going to run the table. I don't think Miami, Ohio State, Notre Dame, none of them are going to run the table.
Right.
Too much parity out there. There's too much NIL money out there. You're going to see some movement in April.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some more cats moving around.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
when
agree.
that happens, I'm prepared for people to leave Miami.
You never know after
It's
the
gonna
spring
come.
game. Yeah, you know
You
how
don't
things
know.
go in the spring game.
You know, I
Smash
mean,
that like button if you're out there and hit subscribe. Another quick thing I want to say before we got out of here, and we're talking about this now, the 2.5 point spread early preseason prediction with the Notre Dame game. And I thought exactly what you said, that they lost a lot,
it's
Notre
too
Dame.
early, man. It's too
Yeah,
early. That's another thing I don't like about college football. They always say that the way too early polls, it's too early. It's freaking January. We haven't
right.
even gotten through spring practice yet. That's gonna change.
Yeah.
Okay, it's too early. I don't even want to talk about next year, except as far as
The schedule was.
what's coming in the spring, and what we could potentially look forward to in fall practice. Otherwise, all this, I seen Joel Klatt's ranking. He had Miami at 8. I thought that was generous. Okay, he kind of believes in Miami. He thinks Carson Beck is going to be pretty good
Right.
with the squad we got, with the weapons we got, with the offensive line. Everybody, Miami has one of the best lines in the country. Without
Right.
a line, you're not going to win.
True.
The 01 team, the 2000, 01, 02 team, 03 team, they had one of the best lines in the country. So when you got that, and you got a McGahee and a Portis behind you with a Najee Davenport and a Frank Gore, you see what you got. We got some really good running backs. We got the 5-star Lyle. We got another 5-star kid. The line is the key. You build around that line, and he's done that. When I got 8, 9 guys on the line, and I got the depth where I can plug and play if somebody gets hurt. Okay, now I can do something.
Right.
This is going to be the season where I'm not worried about the offense. Now we got to see what they're going to do on the other side of the ball, because we cannot have this crap again what we had this past season.
We definitely can't have that. That's unacceptable.
We cannot have that. I think Carson Beck could have the best season of his collegiate career, even better than what he had 2 years ago at Georgia, because he's got those same type of weapons and then some. Because I'm gonna piggyback with what Klatt said. He put the ball there. I mean, what else? If I'm gonna ask the wide receiver, what else you want me to do? Put handles on the ball for you?
Right.
I put it in your hands and you dropped it.
Right.
The man had more drops than any other team in the country. Division I. Georgia dropped a lot. The kid from East St. Louis that left Mizzou dropped a lot of passes for him. My man that left Miami to go down there to play with him before he got in trouble for domestic abuse, he dropped a lot of balls. He blew the game against Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, against Alabama.
Alabama, yeah.
He blew that game at the end. Carson Beck put it there twice for him, and he couldn't even keep the Alabama player from picking it off.
Right.
Well, I mean, he didn't have no help, and the line at Georgia was not that great. Even Curtis
it wasn't.
Said his line was not what it was in 23.
Right.
So of course he's running for his life. I ain't worried about Carson Beck.
Nah.
He'll heal up. I'm not worried about the offense. I'm worried about the other side of that rock.
I agree. I'm gonna take this one real quick. It says all Power 4 teams need to play Power 4 teams, no cupcake schedules. I don't know.
I agree with that. Listen, Dwayne, listen. And Clemson kind of piggybacked this too. Alabama, if you notice with Saban's teams, if you can go back to 2010, 2012, they always schedule a high school team in November.
Right.
Okay. They always schedule a small Division I AA. You know, they play a Mercer. Clemson started doing it too, because I can play my starters for a quarter, pad stats, and see where I'm ranked. If I'm ranked 4, maybe I can beat the crap out of these kids from Truman State and get up to 2.
Right.
Just to position myself for this 4-game playoff. They've been doing this for over 10 years.
Right.
To me, if you the best, you play the best. Go on the road. Nick Saban would never take Alabama out of the South in November. He's not going to go up and play Ohio State and Michigan in the winter.
Right.
He's not going to take his team out west to play at Oregon or at loud-ass Washington Husky Stadium in November, where it might be cold and foggy and raining.
Right.
He's not going to do that. He's going to stay at home at Tuscaloosa. Georgia going to stay at home in Athens, and they're going to play Eastern Tennessee or Western Michigan or Western Kentucky team and pay them $700,000 and bring your band with you, and they're going to take it because they need the money, and we're going to have our team have a scrimmage with you because that's what it is. We're not going to invite a really good team to come in and play in November. We're going to play a high school team to pad our stats. So yeah, I agree with that. If you're the best, play the best.
Yeah, it's another one I was going to take. And then it was going to be this one. It's going to be Notre Dame lost players that was backing up starters, but we all know they're always good on the O-line. So we need to be ready. Yeah, they'll be okay. They're
going to be okay, but you know what? I think where Miami will have the edges with the skilled players.
Right.
I think the skilled players, I think the running game is going to be a little better. It should be a good game. I'm not taking nothing away from Notre Dame. They're gonna bring a good team out there. We're gonna see. It's the first game of the year. We're gonna see. I'm expecting all the people to say we're gonna lose. They was all the same ones that said we was gonna lose to Florida too. So come on, bring it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know. Like I said, I'm excited for spring ball and see these young Bulls compete. And it's going to be interesting. Like you say, it's going to be some more moving around. We don't know how it's going to shake out. But we do know that as long as everybody healthy, everybody comes and mesh, minus Carson Beck, because we don't think he's going to be ready for spring. I think that's the consensus that he probably won't be ready.
No, he won't be ready for spring, but that's okay. I'd rather him heal up than them trying to force him to do something.
Yeah.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine for when the summer roll around. They're going to get out there on their own with one-on-ones and with his receivers. They're going to be out there throwing a rock around on their own.
Right.
He'll be ready for fall practice. Listen, Vegas has Miami at 8.5 right now for next season. So that's 8 to 9 wins. Okay. That doesn't mean you don't make a playoff. The issue is, again, the committee. The committee is the issue. Them and the cable sports network with all the rhetoric about a quality win and what's a quality loss. And hey, man, the goal for Miami should be, if you want to make the playoff, win the ACC.
Yeah.
Win the ACC and you punch your ticket.
Yeah.
I think, the past rhetoric about, my thoughts are win the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
Win it all. Go into it with that mindset to win it all. But I don't think people have that same frame of mind today.
Yeah. And I think that the ACC trying to cover their butt to get as many teams as they can, which is their job. We understand this is their job, but that's why they try to come up with it.
It didn't used to be that way where conferences were jockeying for position.
Right.
Okay, it wasn't that way. If you go back to the 90s and you go back to the early to mid 2000s, all this conference talk, it wasn't like that. It was okay. You had more parity, and like I told a classmate, it was harder to run the table then.
Right.
2 or 3 teams might go undefeated the whole season. It was more difficult to run the table than it is today. Today, and it has become more difficult now because of the NIL and transfer portal, because now people are moving around. Ohio State couldn't run the table. Oregon did, and you see what happened. They got exposed. So I think there's going to be some other teams out there, finally, some other teams that are going to be in the mix for things. I like what they're doing at Illinois. I think they're going to be a team to watch. I think Syracuse may be a team to look at. They might be a dark horse coming in the ACC again. If they can get a quarterback to replace McCormick, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's a big. Yeah, that is.
Like I said, I think South Carolina, if everybody stays healthy, they got something going down there. I don't see much out of LSU. I don't see much out of Ole Miss or Mississippi State. Missouri's on the bubble.
Right.
Vanderbilt, not a bad school. Are they trying to take that plunge into their academic school, their engineering school, and they did really good with what they had,
Right.
Are guys going to consider Vanderbilt versus considering a LSU or Auburn? Auburn, I don't expect much out of Auburn either.
And I keep saying I don't expect, but hey, depending on that bag and how much these people want,
Well, who's
it
got
really,
the bag? Who's got
yeah,
the bag? And Bama got the bag, and both the
yeah,
Texas schools got the bag with the oil money. So A&M
yeah,
and Texas got the bags.
right,
Okay, I think out west, Arizona State, Arizona State might again. Iowa State always seems to put a decent team on the field.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
we'll see, man. Michigan, I don't think Michigan is. I think Michigan is getting better.
right, yeah,
They're
yeah.
getting better. I think they're going to
They
get
had a
better.
little down year, but they played pretty tough going down the stretch.
It wasn't really a
It was a
down
down
year.
year by their standards,
I
definitely.
think they're going to be Michigan's going to be a lot better this year. I think I think Ohio State is going to be who they are.
Right,
They're going to always be in the mix of it.
right.
So we'll see, man. We'll see.
All right.
Oregon is another one. They got a lot.
Yeah, they got a
Oregon
lot of money.
They got the Nike money, and they got a lot of 5-stars been visiting them yet lately.
Yeah, buddy.
What kind of is Dan Lanning gonna be able to hold on to these guys and say, hey, we can do this? Because he got embarrassed in the Rose Bowl.
They got the number 5 recruit out of Illinois, somewhere out of Althoff or something like that. Yeah, that boy, he's a stud. They going to Oregon. Yeah, out of Althoff, Illinois. I think he out of Althoff or after. I think it's Althoff. It's a private school over there. Yeah, they said he say it's stud over there.
And Illinois wanted that boy, and they got him out of state.
Yeah, yeah.
So you got a lot of kids. You got a lot of kids on that Flyers team that are
yeah.
They where they going to end up going?
Yeah.
Grades permit. Where are some of these guys going to go? Some of them going to go to Illinois with Mizzou. The other Big Ten schools will be calling. So I'm outside of Miami. I'm interested to see how things are going to shake up as a whole. But as far as Miami is concerned, the focus should be on this spring game and seeing where these guys are at, and then develop them between the spring game going into fall practice, because the depth is going to be very important going into this season. You're going to have this depth. You got Notre Dame coming to town. They're not a pushover. They're going to be favored just off their name. They're going to be favored unless Miami does something extraordinary over the summer. Notre Dame's going to be favored. They're 2.5 now. That's probably going to change.
Yeah.
Whether it increases or not, we don't know. But it's going to be a good game. They're not.
Right.
This ain't FAMU coming to town or Bethune.
Right.
This ain't a tune-up game.
Right.
You're going to come out the box right away.
You got to be ready.
You're going to be ready. So.
All right. I want to thank everybody for tuning in for the show. Hit that like button, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Anything you want to wrap up with, my brother?
Like I said, I appreciate the opportunity. What's the small fan base we have now? Be patient. We working. We're trying to make this better. We're gonna make it better, and we're gonna bring the right content and be well versed in what we discuss. And we don't want to be like everybody else with this here, Dwayne. We want to, we coming from a different perspective because we're not in Florida. Right. I like all my other guys down in South Florida with their podcasts, but they're already down there. We're out here. So we are not as privy to information right away as they may be because they right there in the trenches, but that's okay. We're going to be all right and it's more sports than just the Hurricanes. But as far as Miami is concerned, we're going to make this thing pop. Because we're coming from the Midwest, and we want all our South Florida family to know that we got some good football up here in Missouri,
right?
In Illinois, right. We got some good football up here. We got some playmakers up here on the Kansas City side, the St. Louis side, and much props to Coach Sunken and the East St. Louis Flyers for winning another Illinois State title. Yeah. We got some kids here, and I would hope that Mario comes back up this way. And sticks his nose in the door and sees what's up here because we got some kids up here. We got some world beaters that can play that, hey, get them down to campus down there and then give them something to think about.
And I'll close this out by saying for y'all that wasn't in here at the beginning, Mario was up here in the state of Missouri Friday looking at the 5-star lineman out of Nixa, Missouri, Southwest Missouri. And, hey, All we can do is just hope he keep hitting that corner and getting the best he can get. We appreciate everybody's support, and we're out of here till next week.
Have a great day. Enjoy today's games today. It's going to be some good ones today in the professional side. So I know everybody got their picks. So all I can tell you is if you want to know who's going to be in the Super Bowl, look at the colors of the Super Bowl logo. It'll tell you who's going to be in there. Every year the logo give it away what the colors are. So you can look at the colors of this year's Super Bowl logo. It'll give you an idea who's going